We're joined this morning by Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, who is the Minister of Agriculture. Yes, you heard him speak, but we'll go over some of those things and perhaps explore some of the issues that you will also present to us today. Morning, and thank you for coming in this day.
Thanks for having me this morning.
Well, yes, indeed. You talked about some of these items which you talked about previously, a target for rice production. But first of all, let's start off with this cassava bread. What is the story? Is it meeting the kind of target that you expected?
Which one?
Cassava bread.
Absolutely. When we started, we decided that we needed to cut down our wheat import bill. And to cut down that wheat import bill, it means that we have to look for substitutes, for a lot of wheat that we're currently importing.
Okay.
For me, it makes absolutely no sense that we're spending 635 billion naira importing wheat. And we decided to look at it from two sides. One side is to substitute high-quality cassava flour up to 20-25% in the baking of bread and also confectionaries, and it's working very well. Today, you have all the major corporate bakers in the country that are baking with it, from UTC to Butterfield to ShopRite, Pack and Shop. In fact, ShopRite has gone actually to 25% of the inclusion of high-quality cassava flour in their bread. Is fantastic. You have bakers all across the country. Zuma Bakery is here, Honeyloaf Bakery here, Wonderloaf in Ekiti State, and all over you're beginning to see the penetration of that. When we started, some people say, well, is it going to be some kind of apple bread or what? It is fantastic bread, tastier bread, healthier bread, and cheaper bread. And Nigerians are beginning to understand that. I mean, at the summit here yesterday, you had a whole array of it that was actually right here, and people were like, wow, is this what we're really talking about? And so I think we've moved way beyond that. The president launched the 10 billion naira cassava bread fund. Now that fund will help us to take things to scale. And we've decided to start with 5,000 master bakers. These are the people that bake your bread in the little areas across the country. And we are also going to be using it to invest in ramping up production of cassava, making sure that we can have a lot more cassava flour. So yes, I think it's exciting. I think not only Nigerians love it, but also other visiting African presidents have applauded it.
So we'll have a target to also possibly export this bread.
Well, I think first and foremost, I want to get Nigerians well fed. But here is an opportunity for us that we should not forget. What we're doing is we're actually creating a composite flour, between cassava flour and also wheat flour. And so as you mix that in the composite flour and you put some of the enzymes in it, yes, it becomes an export market. You look at today, just not too long ago, I think about a month ago, the president of Kenya visited Nigeria, and he stayed in this hotel, and he had bread, and I asked Mr. President of Kenya, I said, Your Excellency, have you had cassava bread? He said, no, you can't make bread out of cassava. And so I said, why don't you send your staff to ShopRite? And they did. They brought him the bread. He ate the bread. He loved the bread. The next morning, transport brought him his breakfast. He said, take your bread away. Give me the cassava bread. And so you can begin to see that this is really working, and it's fantastic bread. I think Nigerians will see more of it as we ramp up with the training and capitalization of our master bakers.
And this is the same kind of vision you have for rice production?
Absolutely. For rice, for me, I cannot accept at all that for all the land we have in this country, upland rice you can grow, lowland rice you can grow, irrigated rice you can grow, even deep south, mangrove rice you can grow. We've got all the capacity to grow all the rice that we are currently consuming, importing today. So we set for ourselves a target to become self-sufficient in rice by 2015. Now, don't forget that we are, until we started rice, we're spending roughly 1 billion naira importing rice every day. We're just making, the other countries very happy. Thailand is happy. India is happy because all their farmers are roving and just producing and pounding us with rice. No, we decided that we can produce our own rice. The president did a phenomenal thing, which has never been done before. He decided to support us for the dry season production of rice. Remember, we were hit by the flood last year.
Yeah.
And so when we're hit by the flood, so you lose on one side. But before the flood water goes away, you have to at least compensate for yourself and use that water well. And so we went to Mr. President and said, President, why don't we go into dry season rice cultivation massively? So we selected 10 states all across the country, all the way from Kebbi to Sokoto to Zamfara to Kano, all of them, Niger, Kogi, everywhere. We reached 267,000 farmers with seed, high quality seed, the long grain kind of seed that, grain for rice that the millers will actually want that meets the market quality. We did that. We gave every one of them 3 bags of fertilizers to produce their rice. And they amazed us. Nigerian farmers are amazing. When you give them the support, they're not different from European farmers. They're not different from farmers in the United States. They produce well over 1 million metric tons of paddy rice. I went to Kebbi State, and I was amazed just with the level of production. You go to Zamfara State, the Baccalaureate project, where our Ministry of Water Resources had put in quite a lot of irrigation facilities. It was amazing. So you saw everybody working. The young guys were working. The women were working. Little kids were working. You had donkeys, you had camels, everybody moving, padding up. That is how you create jobs in agriculture.
Anyway, we'll come back to the rice issue because I thought we haven't actually expatiated more on this cassava product production.
You want to eat more cassava?
Yes, we really have to talk about it because way back then doing agriculture in school, in high school, we are also told about its origin. We also talked how it came about in Brazil, and we thought we were actually big-time producers of cassava. But as we speak, it looks like a whole lot hasn't been done in that field. Perhaps maybe you should tell us, do we have improved stems to grow this cassava, and how much do you have to wait as a farmer for you to harvest that? Until you do all of that, I don't think that will be some kind of encouragement for some small-time farmers to go into the production of cassava.
In fact, what we have today in Nigeria is a massive revolution on cassava. There's no doubt Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world. Yes, it was introduced from Latin America, but we're the largest producer. We produce 40 million metric tons of cassava per year. Now, but the question is, if you produce all that tuber, is what you do with it. When I became minister, one of my real headaches with cassava was that over 45% of the cassava produced in the country couldn't be sold by the farmers. It was all on the ground. They couldn't find markets for it. So the cost of actually producing it was much more than what they were going to get from the market, actually selling it. And so we had to very rapidly create markets for it. And so we decided to take a whole value chain approach. Now, cassava is used. You can use cassava for making starch. And that allows you to replace a lot of the corn starch that we import. Cassava for making dry chips for export. You can use cassava for making sweeteners. If you look at sorbitol, which you actually use for toothpaste, cassava starch is very good. Cassava, you can actually make it and transform it into making sorbitol. Cassava also for ethanol. And so the range of products that you can make or derivatives from cassava is so many. And the more of those derivatives you have, you create more market opportunities for the farmers. And so that's why we went into it. And here are some of the things that we've done actually that's quite exciting. First is that we started looking for external markets for dry cassava chips. And we looked at China. And at the start of the administration, we set a target that by 2015, we will be able to do, 950,000 metric tons of dry cassava chips export to China. Well, last year, we secured 3.2 million metric tons of dry cassava chip contracts for export into China. And we started that last year. And so to make sure that our processors can meet that demand, I went to the Africa Import-Export Bank in Egypt to try and facilitate a loan facility for us, for private sector, not for government, of $40 million for our processors to be able to make that. So that's well on its way. Second is using cassava now for starch. Now, if you go to Agbadu in Kogi State, Agbadu in Kogi State, a phenomenal thing there is happening. Cargill is the world's largest food manufacturer. They're there in Kogi State. We're working very closely with the government of Kogi State in doing a big plant. They're going to have a 72,000 metric ton plant to do starch. And then you're going to have, with other partners, about another 30,000 metric ton plant to do sweeteners. So you're going for cassava starch into sweeteners that will feed into the Nigerian breweries and all the others, and Coca-Cola as off-takers. And so that's going on. And in 1 week, the government of Kogi State, working together with my ministry, with some Brazilian investors, they cleared 250 hectares and planted it all in 1 week. So that's the kind of thing happening. You go to Kwara State, Flour Mills of Nigeria is there doing a similar thing to do plants for doing cassava starch and also to do it into sweeteners. Now, we are also moving beyond that. We're going into the whole area of using cassava for ethanol. Of course, I'm very mindful of the fact that you might have a competition between the use of cassava for biofuels and also for food. But however, the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan has new varieties today that allows us to get up to almost literally 80 tons per hectare. The average yield today is about 20, 24 tons. So, we can ramp that up significantly. And the last thing that we are doing is where we started off with the use of cassava for high-quality cassava flour.
Okay.
And so all I'm saying is we're turning cassava into gold for farmers, and that's the way we should do it.